Well, I'm here with Chuck Perry. He's a piano tuner, technician, performer. You've been living in and around pianos for a long time, I
Yeah,
imagine.
long time. About 35, 40 years professional showbiz. And now all I do is I play for people in their homes and fix their pianos and tune their pianos, and it's great.
How long have you been doing the tuning technician work?
Not as long as some other people who have been doing it for 35, 40 years or more. I took it up um, it's going on 7 years now. I was very blessed in that I gained a mentor early on who is the best in the business. So I got to learn from him more than what I already knew how to do. So yeah, it's a crazy business. It's crazy that I'm as busy as I am,
Mm.
but it's wonderful. I get to meet so many people just all week long, all month long, all year long, and happy people buy pianos apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I know. I've talked to a number of technicians, and it's kind of funny. A lot of technicians actually don't even play the piano, but
that's true.
you obviously do. Do you find it kind of helps, or I mean, what's the relationship there?
Well, it helps me in my relationship with the customers,
Mm.
and the ones that don't particularly play know enough usually to figure out if this is sounding good. But I get to, and many people have written reviews on this about me when people say, "Do you know a piano tuner?" And they'll point to me and they say, "And you get a concert at the end of it." So it's kind of fun. So yeah, I tune their piano, fix it, do whatever I have to do, and then I play for them. If the kids are there, I play for them, and the kids will come up and play for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a cool thing. So it does work in my favor. And also, just as a piano player, I want to be able to get through a song just comfortably without hearing anything wrong. So, and at the same time, I'm entertaining some people.
Mhm.
But while I'm entertaining, I'm also listening to what's happening. And if everything's perfect, I sleep really good that night.
So I want to kind of go through maybe a few questions that
Mhm.
people might have that have pianos.
Mhm.
I imagine you've seen a lot of different things walking into people's homes,
Mm,
pianos in all different states.
yeah.
Maybe we start with an easy one. How often do you think really people ought to have a piano tuned or serviced?
Well, a good rule of thumb is at least once a year. I have a large handful of clients that do it once every 6 months. It gets played a lot.
Mm.
It's usually their kids are taking lessons or they are serious piano players that play it a lot and they want to keep it in tip-top condition. What I do tell customers is that we don't want to wait for it to sound bad. We don't want to wait for you to go, oh, this needs to get tuned. We need to do it before that. While it's going to naturally drop a little bit over time, um, and so we want to just kind of keep it close to where it's supposed to be. So
Mhm.
6 months is great.
Mhm.
If you can do that once a year, is usually is usually fine.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Now, if you walk in, you find a piano that hasn't been tuned in maybe 5 years or more.
Mm.
What kind of are the problems that crop up that you have to deal with at that time?
Well, it'll be so far out of tune that there's thousands of pounds of tension inside these pianos. And we call them piano strings. They're actually wires, but they're pulled so tight. But they have a lot of elasticity to them as well. So if I have to stretch that wire enough, it'll retract a little bit. So if it's really, really flat, then I'll have to go through it twice and I will present them with the technique called a pitch raise, which is where you're pulling everything up about 30% above where we eventually want it to drop.
Mm.
That's the first pass through the entire piano. So it's like going through it twice.
Mhm.
After that pass, now it's going to go flat again, but now instead of being where it was massively flat, like 40 or 50% flat, now it's like 2, 3, or 4.
Mhm.
Now I can go through it a second time and do a really good fine tune on it. So
Mhm.
that's the worst case scenario. If the wires sit in their tension points for too long without being moved, they could develop like little rust pockets, and that's when the strings start breaking.
Mm.
Piano technicians don't break strings. Customers don't break strings. So when a string breaks, it's just ready to go.
Mm.
I don't see that happen a lot, and I
Mhm.
have techniques to get around that to make sure that doesn't happen.
Mhm.
But so it doesn't happen a lot. But if it does, that string can be replaced. Sometimes it doesn't need to be,
Mhm.
replaced. But yeah, worst case scenario, we have to go through it twice. So, you know, even the really old pianos, that have been kept up, at least once a year.
Mhm.
I don't really have to do a lot. I can just go through it once, and that's where we want it to be.
Right.
So,
So people have heard about tuning. Also, regulation is kind of passed around a lot. How often does a piano really need to be regulated? And I mean, what causes that?
um, generally, there's like maybe every 4 to 6 years or something like that. You can do a full regulation on it.
Mhm.
I will, while I'm tuning, if I see a hammer, bobbling or that's just not regulated correctly, I'll just kind of fix things as I go along to make it a little easier. But sometimes there's
Mhm.
a lot of parts in these pianos, and for the most part, they're very delicate.
Mm.
So, if something slips, that's where the piano technician comes in, and and we can fix that. Most of the time, I don't even charge for
Yeah.
those little things anyway, because we're just kind of fixing them as we go along, tuning the piano.
Mhm.
But for a full regulation, yeah, it's not always needed. But some people say, hey, this is playing a little too heavy for me. Can we? And I'll check the regulation, and if we can adjust it to play lighter, we
Mhm.
can do that. If we need to voice the piano, which means we can change the tone of it a little bit, is
Mhm.
sometimes people will say it's too bright, so we can kind of voice the hammers and kind of tone that down a little bit. So
Okay. So you mentioned both regulation and voicing there.
mhm.
Tuning, voicing, regulation, those are probably the most common things
Yes.
that maybe a technician might do.
Mhm.
And so voicing really relates to the tone of the piano, and regulation is more about how it plays, how it feels,
Yeah,
how the action looks.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's certain specs that we follow. You want the key on the piano to go down a certain distance. You want the hammer to be at rest at a certain distance from the wire.
Hmm.
So basically, from the time you hit the key to the hammer hits the string, we want everything in between that just working properly. And if something gets out of whack, it's 99% of the time still playable. It just might feel a little different, but
Sure.
yeah. So that's where the regulation comes in.
Okay. Last question. I think there's a number of people who sometimes have very old pianos. Maybe they picked them up on Facebook Marketplace
A
and they're like,
lot.
okay, I need to get a technician to take a look at this.
Yeah.
What kind of are the decision factors when you decide, is this piano worth putting the effort into or not?
Well, most of the people I go see that have done that, I wish I would have known them before they did that, so they could call me and say, "Hey, could you come check this out?"
Hmm.
So I'll just kind of educate them
Hmm.
the best I can. The first thing we want to do is just make sure it's playable. So if you can, if you're going to see a piano that you're getting from Facebook or Craigslist or whatever, if you can physically touch it, just open the lid, take a look inside. You don't know what you're looking at
Hmm.
most of the time, but just nothing looks scary in there. It's probably okay. And then you're just going to hit every key on the piano. There's 88 of them.
Hmm.
So just hit every key and not just lightly, just bump, 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 bump. And just make sure everything works and see what's sticking. If stuff is sticking, maybe stuff is not playing at all. There could be broken hammers in there. But if you can sit down and play it, it might sound awful. Usually when people are getting rid of these pianos, they haven't been tuned in forever and they haven't
Hmm.
been touched in forever. But if you can play the whole thing, then it could definitely be worth buying. But yeah, just check that, make sure everything is playing. If everything's playing, chances are there's nothing broken. There's no strings missing, there's no broken hammers in it and everything.
Hmm.
But if you start seeing stuff sticking and stuff like that, that stuff can be easily fixed. Not a problem. And even hammers broken, anything broken inside of a piano can be fixed and can
Sure.
be replaced. But if it's a real mess, no, I would say it's not,
Yeah.
worth it. But
Probably the worst thing and the toughest thing to kind of diagnose there if it hasn't been tuned or prepped in a while is if it can even hold a tuning.
well, that's true. If it sounds, if you can tell that it's just really, really low or bad and just all over the place, there is a possibility of loose tuning pins uh, inside, and that's something that can be fixed too, unless it's like really widespread. Then there's a possibility of something being wrong with the pin block,
Mm.
possibly a crack in the pin block. That's when you want to run. Just
Okay.
thank you much for your time. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Well,
cool.
appreciate it. I think people can kind of use that advice.
Yeah, I hope
And
so.
thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.